In this study, led by Piero and Amodio, we looked into the caching behaviour of corvids and the potential explanations that allow these birds to decide what food to cache where. Previous studies have shown that both Western scrub jays and Eurasian jays are sensitive to what food is available at different locations. And their decision-making in these scenarios and the caching patterns exhibited in such studies have been previously interpreted as episodic foresight. This is what is summarized here as the future planning hypothesis. And the idea is that the birds have formed integrated representations of what, where, and when features of past episodes and can use them to anticipate where they will find themselves next and what food it will available to be there at that location at a specific time point in the future. Now, of course, there's also several alternative explanations that have been proposed, and in this study we looked at the one termed the compensatory caching hypothesis. Now, the idea here is that the jays have a propensity to uniformly distribute their caches across different locations, and the formalization of this mechanism involves updating of location-specific weights according to the perceived availability of specific types of food at different locations every time that a bird finds itself at a specific location. Now, what we've done in this study is that we designed a setup that can differentiate between the predictions of these two hypotheses. For 9 days, each morning, each bird was allowed into one of 3 different locations, indicated as A, B, or C here. And every morning, it also experienced the availability of food, which was either peanuts being available or macadamia nuts being available. The important thing is that the availability of the locations rotated on a 3-day cycle, and the availability of the food was rotated on a 2-day cycle, so that at the end of the 9 days, each location was associated with each of the food conditions either once or twice. On the 9th day, in the afternoon, the jays were allowed to enter all 3 locations again, and they now had both peanuts and macadamia nuts available to them, and they could cache them in the 3 different locations. When we look here on the left side, then this is where we see the different patterns that are predicted by the 2 different hypotheses. We also see that there's actually 2 patterns that we can predict based on the future planning hypothesis. The first one is the one that we would expect the jays to show if they were planning for the specific next day, so where they were caching for the hypothetical day 10. The second pattern predicted by the future planning hypothesis is the one that the jays would be predicted to show if they were planning for the next 3 days, so for the days 10, 11, and 12. And the important thing is that these patterns differ from the one that is predicted by the alternative hypothesis, namely the compensatory caching hypothesis. What we see on the right here is that individual data from the birds that were tested in this experiment show a lot of individual variation, and so it's not so easy to deduce some reliable or clear caching pattern. And this is corroborated by analysis using Bayesian modelling. And the model with the highest posterior probability, the one indicated by the yellow arrow here, was the one that is dependent on the identity of the bird and the identity of the food type, but not dependent on the location or the compartment. And when we compare these results to the ones that were obtained in previous studies, of course we have to take into account the different housing conditions and also potentially some ecological differences between Western scrub jays and Eurasian jays specifically. But an important thing is that both types of studies should really undergo some empirical replications. And here we have a problem because there are limiting factors relating to the sensitivity of such studies, because it's very unlikely that we will be able to conduct such studies with large sample sizes or without using single test trials, which of course increases the kind of noise in the data that we will have. A productive way forward concerns some more theoretical work regarding the different hypotheses that are being proposed. And if we look at our study specifically, then one thing that comes up is that each of the hypotheses should also consider how much information can be processed by the mechanism that is being proposed. And this could really help us design better empirical studies to test between the different hypotheses.